It's time to hear the story, make the connection, learn the lesson, and gain the wisdom. Are you ready? Let's get charged and be changed. The Sister Speak Brother Break Show. Conversations on grace, healing, and deliverance. This is Marcy Bush. Come on, let's journey together.
Yeah. Out of all we've gone through, I just said it. This is the last one I will not have where we won't have children of our own. Yeah. But then the rest of that day was hard. After I said that, it was mentally and emotionally, the devil tried everything he could to mess with my mental, to mess with my mind. So you stood there and said that, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what you're not going to have. Because this time next year, you're going to be embarrassed. Because you stood up and you said that, and it ain't going. And I fought, Marcy. That day I fought to keep myself in a place of trusting what I had already declared. Right. Trusting what I believed. Yeah. And I went home that day, because it was still daytime, I remember, and I buried myself in the bed and I just cried. And it was a battle of, do I believe what I just said? Yeah. If I give in right now. Right. And I remember just telling Delvis, this is hard. Yeah. I remember telling him on the phone, this is hard. Because I'm trying to believe, I'm trying to speak it, I'm trying to be in that place. But right now the enemy is fighting me. Right. This is a battle. And I couldn't in that moment, because he was gone. I had to fight that one by myself. Yeah, okay. But I think that was the most pivotal one that I had to overcome. So that I can move into conceiving, because now we were entering into the season of conception. I didn't know that then. Okay. So that's why I think at that moment I had to be by myself. Okay. Because I couldn't lean on him for that one. I called him, but I didn't want to hold him because he was with his mom. Right. I didn't want to ruin his day. I didn't want to call my mom and ruin her mother's day. Right. So in that moment, I had to just deal with it. Yes. Yeah. But that was the last moment right before we entered into that season of now conceiving and moving to being pregnant. We didn't know that then, but I think that's why I had the hardest battle that day, because that was really a battle with the enemy. He was trying to convince me in that moment, you made a mistake doing that. You made a mistake saying that, because you're going to really be embarrassed now. And I had to stand on what I knew and what I said and what I believed and walk in that. Yeah. So that was that Mother's Day, and so we went forward, and we had another miscarriage. Okay. And when we went through the IVF the first time, his insurance wouldn't cover it. So that's why we had to borrow the money and pay for it. And we're just being really transparent with the process that we went through. And so after that happened, and we said, we were done. I told about it was time for re-enrollment of insurance. I remember we were looking at, I said, just get the cheapest thing to have. It don't even matter. Just get something so we can have some insurance. And so I had another miscarriage, right after that. Okay. Not long after that. And I told Delvis, I said, you know what? I'm tired of this. Somebody got to tell us something. So that's when we went to seek. I went to my gynecologist. I said, somebody's got to tell me something. Send me to a specialist. And okay, he said, I know this doctor in Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay. That you need to go see. And so I said, okay. And he told me his name and gave me his information, and went there. And we met with a team of doctors in Charlotte, North Carolina. Wow. And that started the journey. And so we went and we talked to the doctor, went through our history and everything, and told him about the IVF that we had done in Raleigh. And he said, so where are those embryos? Because we didn't transfer them all. And prior to that, after we did the process in Raleigh, after a certain amount of time, if you don't go back through the process again, you have to sign these papers to say that you want to discard the embryos. There's a lot of legalities in it, because those are living embryos. And so we After we decided that we're not going to go through the process again, we signed the papers for the embryos to be discarded.
Okay.
They lost the paperwork. They lost the paperwork. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we, Dr. Marshburn from Charlotte, he said, call Raleigh and see where they are, where the embryos are. He said, because by law, even when you sign, they have to hold the embryos for a certain amount of time before they're actually, discarded or whatever.
Okay.
And so when they go back again, like I told you, we signed the documents. They lost the documents. We signed them again. And the reason why I remember it is because when I had to sign those documents, he'll tell you, it was like we were at a funeral. Because I cried over the paper because I was discarding my embryos, right? My living babies that turned into my children. We had to sign. So when they lost the paperwork, they called us back and said, we lost the paperwork. You have to submit paperwork again. So we had to sign twice to discard the embryos. And Dr. Marshburn said, call Raleigh. I said, well, Dr. Marshburn, we signed up those documents twice. He said, well, they have to hold them a certain amount of time. Just call and see. So we called up there, and sure enough, they had not discarded the embryo. And so then Dr. Marshburn says, okay, well, let's see what the insurance will do. Let's see if we can just look at maybe doing the transfer since we have the embryos. They were doing genetics testing. Nothing showed up on our test. Nothing was medically, they could not find anything wrong. He said, well, let's see if we can do a transfer. He said, let's see if insurance will take care of it. We told him, Dr. Marshburn, we did away with that insurance, and we got the cheapest insurance. He said, let's just run it and see. They ran the insurance and came back and told us that the new insurance covered the process 100%.
Shut up.
So we didn't have to pay a dime. So we called Raleigh. They said they still had the embryos. We asked, what do we have to do to get them? They literally said, come get them. We got in the car that day. Drove to Raleigh. Picked up a tank with our embryos in it. I'll never forget. We walked out with this tank. He put them in the car. He put them in the back seat in the seat belt because he said, my children are going to be birthed from this process. So we brought them back to Charlotte. And so we started preparing for the process. This time we had 3 embryos that were viable. And so we started the process. They did the testing, they did all of that. This time we were the chief of doctors in Charlotte. And again, like I told you, they tested us. There was nothing physically wrong or medically wrong. There was no explanation other than my body just couldn't hold the pregnancy. And so we started the process again, now with 100% insurance coverage. After we was like, we're done with it, and we gave it up. And so we started the process, they tested, and now was the day for transfer. And we got in there the day before. They do like a little practice thing, make sure your body's open and ready to receive, because you have to receive at a certain time. I was good to go. We got into the operating room where they were going to do the process the next day. And right when they were getting ready to do the transfer, my cervix closed, shut down. And the same way you looked is the same way the doctors looked. They were like, what? I mean, because they just tested me less than 24 hours before. Everything was open, and literally right before they started the process, everything closed. And I remember Delvis was over my back and nurses on my back, and the doctor said, I can't get it. The cervix closed. And he said, it doesn't make any sense. And I could feel him. It was the most painful thing I ever felt in my life. And I could feel him, trying to open me back up, and it was closed. And he said, no, he said, I don't understand what's happening. And I remember Delvis, and I was losing it. I was losing it on the table, like, what is going on? And I calmed myself. I said, what we're not going to do, I remember saying, what we're not going to do is fight the enemy this time. We're not going to fight this time. We're going to win. We're going to win. And I remember just saying that to myself, like, we're not going to fight. I'm not going to get worked up. And I remember the nurse over here was patting me on this arm. Delvis was patting me on this arm. Tears were just rolling down. But I was saying to myself, we're not going to fight this time.
Right.
And the doctor was working. He was working. And I remember hearing the doctor say victory. And when the doctor said victory, my body opened and received the embryo.
Girl. Mm.
And after that, they did the process. They finished up everything and they put me in this quiet room and they told me just lay there. And Dr. Marshburn, he came in. I know you remember this. He came in, he said, I've done the work. He said, now the rest is in God's hands.
Mm. Mm.
He said, so you just lay there. He said, I've done the work. He said, but now the rest of this is in God's hands.
Yes.
And he walked out.
Mm.
And we laid there. And I told Delvis, I felt the embryos when they attached to my uterus. I said, Delvis, it just happened. I felt it.
Wow.
2 weeks went by and we found out we were pregnant. And we maintained that pregnancy. And that's Delangelo today.
Okay.
And we went through the pregnancy with Delangelo and got to the last day of the pregnancy. And I was experiencing a lot of pain. And I was already on edge because of all the things, the troubles and not being able to hold the pregnancies and having to be extra careful and this and the third. And we went for my final visit and I was having some unusual pains and everybody said I was already paranoid throughout the whole pregnancy. They didn't believe nothing I said, Marcy. I was telling them stuff, nobody was believing me. And, but I was like, something's not right. Something's not right. And I begged the nurse, I said, please check him and make sure he's okay. And they checked him and my baby was inside of me and my water had broken. I didn't know. There was no fluid on the inside.
Okay.
And we had to go through an emergency C-section because they didn't know of his viability at that point because of what we didn't know how long he'd been in there like that. Okay. And so we went through and he was born. Okay. Perfectly healthy, perfectly fine, no complications. And when he was born, when they took him out, Delvis took a picture of him right when he was conceived, when they took him out via C-section with a clock behind him. And first time I saw that clock, I heard the Lord say that was the appointed time. That was the appointed time. And through all that you went through, and he didn't try to get the clock. Right. He just hit, that was the angle, and there was a big hospital clock behind him. Wow. With that time, the appointed time that God had for us to see after all those years of all that we've gone through, the Lord let us know, even in all of that, there is still an appointed time for the miracle. There's an appointed time for the breakthrough. That there's a time that's destined or designated for you to receive it. And that was time.
That's amazing. So how did you feel then, Delvis? What was that like?
I don't know. It was crazy. Oh no. I mean, words can't really explain. It, like when I think on it now, it's a bit blurred. I'm not gonna lie. After okay, I'll put it this way. After we gave our son his first ride from Raleigh, from that moment, it was a bit blur. Okay. Because that's when things start happening. Okay. From the drive to the conception, the embryos attaching, the whole pregnancy to the time he was birthed. I mean, it's a bit blur. It's like, okay, it's happening. It's really happening. It's happening. I'm about to have real for real. I'm about to have my own kid for real, for real. It's getting ready to happen. And then he came here. And then when he came here, I never forget the moment when so everybody was in the room.
Yeah, we had all the support.
Yeah.
So everybody came from north, south, east, and west. Everybody was there. Because it was a big moment. Everybody knew what we go through. And it was a big moment for us.
Yeah, everybody was in the room and we had Delangelo. Well, she had Delangelo. She just had him up. He wasn't crying or nothing, but he opened both his eyes and he scanned the whole room. I mean, eyes wide up, just scanned the whole room. Wow. He put him on the stand, y'all, I'm here.
Yeah, this intense looking at eyes.
And every now and then, like if you look at him now, he gives that same look. He scanned everybody. He won't cry. He was high yellow with his cute self, but we were just scanning the whole room like, y'all, I'm here. I'm the one that y'all been praying for.
Yeah.
And I'm not going back. I mean, you know,
it kind of reminds me of my pastor and how he says, like, when it finally manifests, of course, he's glad that it's here, but he already saw it. And it sounds like that's what you did when you strapped that thing in the seatbelt. It was a done deal.
Yeah.
So the day of, it's like, I already saw this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly.
So where did y'all go after that? First of all, what was the house like with this little miracle in there?
Hey, what you think, Marcia?
Oh Lord. So talk to me. What happened?
Next thing, we've gone through, you know, all the miscarriages. You know, like I said, we had all the support, my mom, his mom, my family, my sisters, his sister. I mean, we went through the journey. I'm sorry, we went through the journey. We had each other. You know, we made it through. We made it. Got all the words, and we got the baby. Yeah. Right? Now it's time to just live with the miracle.
What happened, y'all?
The day after he was born, literally, he and I had one of the worst arguments.
Oh Lord.
Because, okay, yeah, mind you, okay, now we're moving to this part. I went into major postpartum.
Okay.
Depression. Okay. I went into major postpartum. Okay. And a lot of it was because I learned after the fact. Because when I went through the IVF process, there was a lot of hormone additions that they had given me, a lot of estrogen, a lot of hormones. Okay. So after I had the baby, my levels plummeted. Okay. And so I was all like my hormone levels and all of that was just kind of all over the place. Okay. Making my emotions all over the place. Okay. Coupled with the fear that I was going to do something wrong to hurt my baby. Okay. And I wanted to just do it right. Because I had to help my sister raise her kids. I had always been the motherly type. So clearly Archinya gonna know how to raise a baby. Right. But when it was my own, and I was sitting there with my own baby in my own house by myself, I freaked out because all these years of wanting them and anticipating having the baby room set up and the baby closet set up perfectly. Right. I had 500 million Pampers and bottles. I was ready. Okay, I was ready to be a mom. When we brought the baby home, I literally freaked out. Because all that anticipation didn't prepare me for that moment of what I was going to feel. I felt so unworthy. I felt so insecure. Okay. I felt so unsure. Okay. And I think a part of it was, again, like I said, in the hospital, after I had Delangelo, we had the biggest argument. I never forget. Because the night after I had him, everybody came. I mean, and it was a joyous occasion. Yeah. But my mind was like, it was just so much, Marcia. I had gone through so many years of all of that. And like now I got my baby. Right. And everybody just celebrate the baby. And I felt like for a moment, I became invisible. Yeah. Nobody saw Archinya anymore. Right. Right. Everybody saw the baby. That was the proud daddy. He walked around. He go, my son, y'all get my son. And I felt invisible. Right. Okay. And so, and then after all the pomp and circumstance and celebration and laughter, and everybody left. It was like the room went from completely filled to empty. Okay. And now I realized I wasn't fair to him then because I was mad at him, but I now understand. But we didn't anticipate having Delangelo that day. So he was getting ready to go on paternity leave. Okay. So the night before, he literally stayed up 24 hours, literally, to finish all of his work so that he could have his last day and then go on paternity leave. And so he was tired. He was tired. And so after everybody left, he clunked out. I mean, he was like out. I was in so much pain because I had that C-section. Okay. I got this baby here. The nurses were not helping. You know, they just did not come in. So I'm having to get in and out the bed and tend to the baby and trying to learn how to breastfeed and trying to make sure that nothing happens to him and I don't drop him. And it was just overwhelming for me that night. And I think the lack of sleep after having the baby, the lack of care for me, because I guess I denied myself the whole time. I went right into denying myself again. I didn't get the pain medicine, you know, I didn't ask for help. You know, and so that night was hard. So the next morning, my mom and my aunt came in, they was all jipping, where the baby at? Where's Delvis at? And I was like, he can go home. Because he's so tired. And they looked at me like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, since you're so tired, go home. And so it's like the next 3 months. It was rough. It was rough. And I became mama bear. Like I wouldn't let anybody help me. I wouldn't let anybody, because I had to protect my baby. Like that was my baby. And since nobody was there the first night and I had to do it, then I'm gonna just make sure that my baby has what he needs.
I mean, I was there, but I was asleep.
I
didn't mean to be asleep.
I'm just telling you from my mind. I'm telling you from my mind. And everybody was there. Like I could have called anybody, and they would have been there. He was asleep. You know, I mean, I was calling his name. He wasn't waking up. I mean, I
didn't mean to be asleep. But
he was tired. Now I understand that he was tired. I just understand it. But that was a rough night for me. And I think from there I went to a major postpartum depression.
But I think it's so important what you're saying, because, you know, just like you said, and so many things are going on. It makes me think about how often God speaks something, we believe him for it, we fight for it, we have faith for it, and then it manifests and we don't know, like it's here, but this isn't the way I expected it. And that happens in so many different aspects. And then with what you're saying, all the mental stuff that goes on, like you knew you could have called someone, but then it's this thing of, this is what it feels like to me, that you're saying like, okay, I don't want to be a failure though. I got it. I need to do this. And it's amazing how you said it went from, because whenever I think about postpartum, I think of the depression, and a lot of what I've heard is when mothers actually kind of detach and somebody else has to take care of the child. But for you, it was the clinging. Absolutely. And nobody, and see, that's a part of it that I've not heard. And child, that might be a whole nother conversation for us to have regarding the whole postpartum piece.
Yeah, I became very protective. And I shut everybody else out. And I held them close. And I remember, and it just got so bad. Like we were home, you know, at our house, and I couldn't stop crying. Like it was so emotional to where finally he called my mom. He was like, hey, you gotta come. We come to your house. Okay. Because I need some help, because I can't handle her. I can't deal with her right now.
Because at the time, really, because the way she was acting, I didn't know her. Okay. I did not know her. I tried. I mean, everything I said was wrong. Everything I did was wrong.
He was trying.
I was really trying. Like what I do, I'm you know, everything. And the funny part is too, because we went through that period. She went through that period like for 3 months. Okay. And remember, she was clinging on to Delano. She was clinging on to that boy. Mm-hmm. And because of that, he didn't like me. Okay. He didn't like nobody. Okay. Nobody could hold him. I mean, absolutely no. I'm like, bro, I'm your daddy.
Okay, so dad, so he's right. Like I clean, like I wouldn't let him do nothing. Like he tried, he was trying, but that was that state that I was in, right? Yeah. I just felt like I had to do it, right? Yeah. I couldn't fail at this. I couldn't let anything happen to him because I had, couldn't conceive all these years. Now I got the baby. I got to make sure he's okay. And I shut him out. I shut a lot, you know, you can hold him for a little bit and give him back. Like that's how I was. And he couldn't do anything right. He's telling the truth. And he didn't know me. I wasn't myself. I know that I wasn't who I am. And I didn't expect when the blessing came that it was gonna be that way. It just, I didn't expect it.
Right.
We brought the baby in the house. We brought Angela home. I remember I walked in the house and just broke down crying. Like I just started crying. Like I was overwhelmed. I was just overwhelming. All of that, those years, all of that, you know, and then it's like it was there. Right. And I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't prepare myself for that. I prepared myself for the journey, but I didn't prepare myself for the miracle when it happened. And it got the best of me. And we went to my mom's house, and then, you know, and she, like I said, she was always supportive, and always there. But I feel like I was infringing on her space, you know, and I was like, I gotta be able to do this on my own. Like I can't lean on my mom. I can't lean on nobody else. Like I have to get myself out of this. So Delvis went home one day and he literally anointed our whole house. And he was like, whatever this is attacking my wife, it's gotta go. And when I bring her back in this house, she's gonna be fine. And then I remember, I don't know if it was before or after that, he sat me down. Yes, he had enough. Because he always is very supportive of me. He makes sure I have what I need. He carries us. And he goes above and beyond. But I guess he had enough of me and my whatever I was dealing with. He sat me down and he said, "Let me tell you something." He said, "You didn't have that baby by yourself." He said, "And you don't have to take care of him by yourself." He said, "I'm his daddy and I can do for him too." He said, "What you're not gonna do is shut me out anymore." And he put his foot down with me. Yes. And he told me, he said, "We're gonna do this together." And it was in that moment where I started to see how I was wrong. Okay. And I think that's important, you know, in marriage, you got to be able to hear each other. And I thank God I was in a place, even in the mental state that I was in, I heard him. Yes. So then, you know, I started doing better. Okay. By working, you know, with, you know, opening up and giving him his son, because that was his son. Yeah. But that postpartum was difficult. Yeah. Okay. It was hard. I couldn't stop crying. Like you said, Marcy, it was I didn't push the baby away. I wouldn't I brought him close to me and wouldn't let anybody else in with him. And it was hard. Okay. And we were there for about 3 months.
3 months. Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you've been blessed by today's show, feel free to let us know. And if you'd like to sow into this ministry, become a sponsor, or contact us, you can reach us at 803-221-0169. Or you can email us at thessbbshow@gmail.com. Let's continue this journey together.